So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. In a lot of Latin music, pretty much I would say the majority, there's different types of clave, but there's always going to be something going in the background. Ta, 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 ta. So can you hear this rhythm? So you have the tempo, but you have this clave, and I've articulated that in this guitar part. You're going to hear like this. So if we already have this in our ear before we even start the melody, we'll be able to kind of stay in what the groove is implying. You'll see that the melody, now that you're hearing that clave, especially in the guitar, the melody actually implies that similar type of movement. So every time you hear that bum bum, that's kind of banging out the clave, and that happens in the melody. Listen. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malachei, Malchei Amlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. You see what's happening? Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malachei, Malchei Amlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. So that winds up being a really helpful thing to have. So if you have some sticks, or if you have someone who's really good at rhythm in the choir, and you can maintain that beat in the background, it kind of makes everything make a bit more sense. So then when the other parts come in, it's going to sound like this. This is really the world that I like to think of this piece living in. A little side note, I grew up, my mother's family is from Haiti, from the island of Haiti in the Caribbean, and so I grew up with hearing a lot of kind of Caribbean music, Latin music, and so a lot of the first couple pieces I wrote for synagogue had a little bit of a Caribbean feel to them. And I guarantee that this is the #1 Jewish salsa song on the Jewish salsa charts right now. I don't really know. I can't guarantee 100%, but I'm almost positive that that's the case. So let's just try it. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei, Malchei Amlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei, Malchei Amlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. And you don't have to necessarily look at the music at this point. I think that now that we've kind of created the background rhythms, and you hear how that clave is working in the background, I think we should be able to do this now, be able at least to do the melody by heart. So let's try it again. From the beginning, Shalom Aleichem, without looking at the sheet music this time. Oh, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei, Malchei Amlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei, Malchei Amlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. O Poachem LeShalom, Malchei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Omni Melech Malchei Amlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Wonderful. So that is our first section of the piece. That gives us the melody and the B section pretty clearly. So now when we would go into this next section, we would have our first iterance of this background harmony. Let's just hear what one of those parts would sound like this. So if we were going to have Shalom Aleichem, Shalom that's going to be the background line. It doesn't necessarily matter in this instance who is singing which part. just it's important to hear that there's a counter line that's going against the melody line, right? So now I'm going to add the melody line above that. Now that you have that sound in your ear, here's the beginning. Shalom Aleichem. Here we go. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malchei, Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malchei, Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch. So that's a fun background part that we can add in. And so even if we weren't looking at the choral music, we would be able to at least hear that we have two separate parts going on. And that similar motion happens when we're in the B section. We have a very syncopated melody and then a very lyrical background line above that. So let's hear a little bit of what that B section melody would sound like with one of these background lines behind it. Let's look at that one part again on the sopranos. So that's being sung down an octave, because if I tried to sing it that high, it would sound like screeching. But there's also a harmony of that part that the basses would do. Let's wait for it to go back around. And then we'll add the background harmony that the basses would do underneath that. And I think it's nice to hear these things without each other, the other melody against them. So here's the other harmony. By itself, they're actually nice melodies. Let's go back to the beginning now. Here we go, here we go. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malchei, Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malchei, Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch. Shuni Shalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Beautiful. So we have this other melody here. I'm going to take off the melody part so you can just hear. So this was the first background harmony. The second background harmony will be this one. Shalom Aleichem, 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 Shalom Aleichem. And all these parts would go together eventually. All the parts you can eventually put on top of each other, and they're all going to work together. But I like to separate them out so you can hear them like this. Let's try it again. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon. Shalom Melech Malchei, Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malchei, Malchei Amlachim. Let's try Tzedchem LeShalom. Oh, Tzedchem LeShalom, Malchei Ashalom, Malachei parts in that B section, it would sound like this. Baruchuni. Baruchuni leshalom, leshalom, malachei elyon, mi melech malchei melech hakadosh. So this is what it probably sounds like when there's no rhythm behind it, right? Baruchuni leshalom, leshalom, malachei elyon, mi melech. Look at the difference when I put the rhythm back in. You can feel like something's missing right now if we don't have it. Baruchuni leshalom, this is always going in my mind, this is always going in the background. Right? Let's go back to the beginning now, with all the parts in together. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Melech Malchei, Malchei Amlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malchei, Malchei Amlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Again, this is what it probably sounds like without any of the rhythm. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malchei, Malchei Amlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon. It feels like it's missing something to me. I think it's these rhythms. Let's do one more time. Oh, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malchei, Malchei Amlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malchei, Malchei Amlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu.